Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another dual episode of Networking and Marketing Made Simple and Entrepreneur Rescue Mission. This is Scott, and I am here with my beautiful co-host, wife, and business partner, Nancy.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. So what we're going to be talking about today is an unpopular opinion. And Nancy's
Ah,
laughing already.
sorry, I have to laugh. So I always type, just so you guys know, I love doing these dual episodes. They're so raw and real. But no, I type notes for Scott in the chat. And so I put a couple notes in there and he read like the second one. So the topic actually
Well,
that
no,
we're
I'm gonna get to that. So I'm like Ron Burgundy. If you
oh
put
my
it on the
God.
screen, I will read it. So you have to understand. If anyone's all Anchorman, that is who I am. So we're going to be talking about today why you need to focus and lead with one specific social media platform. But the unpopular opinion that I'm getting to is that you need to be doing quote unquote all the things on all the social media platforms all the time. So it took me a second to reel it in, Nancy, but I did. So we're going to be focusing on today the importance of leading and focusing on one main social media platform. That is not to say that you cannot be omnipresent. So, what I'll say is, you guys know that Nancy and I very, very highly lead with LinkedIn. Nancy sometimes leads more with Instagram, but Nancy is on Instagram. She has a YouTube channel. She's on Facebook. She's on Instagram, obviously. Twitter or X or whatever. She's on Threads. Anyway, I'm on all those things as well. So it's not that you can't find us on other social media platforms, but we have a main one that we focus on. So, Nance, let's talk about if someone was to ask you, Nancy, is it better for me to focus on one platform and then spread that message to other platforms, or should I focus on growing everything all at once? What would you say to that person?
Yeah, I mean, in fact, I love having this conversation with clients and, people that I connect with because sometimes it gives them like a chance to oh, okay. Right. Because my biggest and my best advice, and I say this even in my book, right? I read the book, How to Build Your Personal Brand on Social Media. It's important to pick one, right? It's important to pick one and really crush it on that platform, right? Do all the things. Whenever I say do all the things, think about what you can really do on every single platform to take full advantage, right? And if you're listening to this and you're not really familiar with social media and you're not really hip to the program about some different things, I'm just going to break down two just to kind of give you a like nice little picture. One, right? We've got LinkedIn. Okay. Scott is the expert on LinkedIn, right? I know a lot about LinkedIn. I post a lot, for obviously our agency is really heavily involved in helping people on LinkedIn, so on and so forth. But on LinkedIn, if you were to fully focus on that platform and you focus on connecting with specific leads and power partners, or what Scott now calls business allies, right? Focusing on connecting with those people, that is literally like, in a way, replacing the whole idea of cold calling, right? A whole lead generation source for your business. And by focusing on connecting with all those people and the right people, you can also do other things on that platform, right? It's creating content. You guys can create a newsletter, right? That goes out and LinkedIn will actually send them emails and give a notification, and it will go out to people who aren't even connected to you that are following the certain content that you create, right? So you can create a newsletter. And guess what? That newsletter is SEO searchable, right? So you can go on Google and actually do a search and some of your newsletters will come up. What else can you do? You can put out polls, right, for market research for yourself and really dive deeper into there. Polls are a great way to also start conversations with your connections and your leads, right? People respond to polls, then they drop a little comment in the chat, and then you're able to go back and forth and connect with them that way. And then also, it's a great place to establish yourself as the expert. Where else can you list out all the wonderful things that you do, your skills, abilities, all that, right? LinkedIn is a wonderful place, but right, there's a lot of activities that you can do on there that are going to take up significant time, but also are so worth it, right? So if we just focused on LinkedIn, right, how many people are on LinkedIn, Scott?
We are approaching 900 million.
900 million people. So if you're saying, oh, well, I got to be on all the things because I don't want to, Guys, all day long, 24/7, you could literally just be focusing on LinkedIn and probably do a really, really awesome thing for your
Well,
business.
you should be. You should be
Right?
focusing on
Yeah,
it.
no, absolutely. So the next thing that I'll tell you is, right, let's look over here at Instagram. Whenever we say do all the things on LinkedIn or Instagram, it's not just about posting pretty pictures and content, right? There's other things that you can do. What does that look like, right? It's actually engaging, meaning going on other people's platforms that are, obviously where your audience is, commenting, providing value, liking, loving, supporting, right? Connecting, following, posting in your stories, right? Your stories on Instagram are a great way to connect with your audience, build, know, like, and trust. Also, show behind the scenes of what you got going on in your business. It's a great tool to use, right? That takes time, posting stories every day. In fact, you should be posting a couple stories a day. Let's look at reels, right? So reels are something really big. So it's similar to TikTok. It's a short little video. I believe they just made it a little bit longer, but you post a Reels video, maybe a couple times a week. In fact, I recommend maybe like 3 times a week. That's something that takes time. But if you do that, that's going to increase your reach, your visibility, and again, build that know, like, and trust if you're sharing fun and awesome topics on what it is that you do. Posting regularly. You can do lots of different things. So again, I didn't even get into like messaging, and some of the other things that you can do. But guys, that's a lot. Okay. So if you were to just focus, and that's what we're talking about today, on one of them. Okay. And the goal would be for maybe even 90 days. If you could choose one and you can learn and you can do all the things, right? You can buy Scott's book, my book, what we teach you, right? What it is that you've got to do, but you go through, you learn it, you put in a routine, you get a system going in your business. And then at that point, when you are rocking and rolling and you're doing all the things and you're staying consistent, you're responding to the messages, someone says something awesome, you jump right on it, reach back out and say hello. When you're doing all those things and it feels really good and it's in place, then and only then would I recommend that it's time now to maybe add another one, to the roster. Any thoughts on that, Scott?
I love, like, I love when
Come
Nancy.
to a hard stop.
Well, it's not even. It's like, when you're driving in a car and someone doesn't realize there's a stop sign and they just like pump the brakes like really hard and like you come in for a crash landing there sometimes. So,
Absolutely.
so here's the thing. Yes, LinkedIn is my main platform of choice, but what I do love, and this is something that Nancy has really helped me with, is we talk about, and this is not to get off topic. This is, I'm going to reel this in. I promise. We talk about the customer journey, right? So if you want to be, if you want a specific social media platform to be your main jam, like your core focus, like LinkedIn. So my main focus is LinkedIn. So I'm on TikTok. I share at least 3 to 5 TikToks per week. My TikTok handle is the LinkedIn expert, right? So I've branded it that, so it drives people back to that. You can connect your Instagram to TikTok. So if someone was interested in seeing what I'm doing on Instagram, they can click on that through TikTok. And guess what? My Instagram handle is Scott Aaron LinkedIn, and I share all similar content that I post on TikTok about LinkedIn on Instagram as well. And then I have a clickable link in my bio on both TikTok and on Instagram that drive people back to LinkedIn or my website, which creates that customer journey. So just because LinkedIn is my main platform, it doesn't mean that I'm not sharing value added content on TikTok or Instagram or YouTube or Facebook. You have to think about, okay, my ideal target market, they're everywhere. We work with business coaches and consultants. Yeah, the majority of them are on LinkedIn, but a lot of them are looking to gain clients from TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. So it would be really stupid for Nancy and I not to have a presence on those other platforms, since we want to become visible to them on there. so we can bring them to where we want them to be, which is on LinkedIn for me and sometimes for Instagram for Nancy. So you have to understand that you are always going to lead with a main platform, and that main platform is going to act as the placeholder to build the know, like, and trust. And you are to use those other social media platforms to drive that focus attention back to your core focus, which is going to be your platform of choice, mine, LinkedIn.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, I actually had some conversion metrics. And in fact, I thought that this might be a nice place to kind of talk about these. I want to paint the picture, right? When people go to your social media and things like that, I want to paint the picture of why it's so stinking important to focus on building your following and growing and doing all the things on these platforms, because I want to share the reality. Okay. Now, first, before I even get into these numbers, which are a little scary and a little concerning sometimes for people, but before we even jump in there, when ever in history, right, have we been able to put ourselves out there organically and for free and to market ourselves in front of millions of people on platforms, right? I mean, it's exciting. In fact, I was sharing with Scott this morning, right? Even starting a business is cheaper and more affordable than it ever has been, right? So we have the privilege, right, of posting and showing up on social media. We have the privilege of putting ourselves out there, okay? But I want to share with you the reality of when you guys actually post things. What does that even look like? So let's pretend, right, you've got 1,000 followers on Facebook. Okay. And the average, right, on Facebook is that about 5% of your audience actually sees the stuff that you post, right? So out of 1,000 people, what is that, like 50 people? Okay. So 50 people are actually going to see that one post. Instagram is probably about 10 to 15%. Now, at some point, right, you're going to need to share what it is that you do. You're going to need to drop a link. Maybe you got a workshop going on. You're going to need to take people off the platform. Well, guess what? Even though you need to share it, meaning I'm going to tell you all day long, you got to do it. Facebook is going to say, it's going to hurt your reach and your engagement's going to decline. But you have to. Okay. You still have to, because you have to tell people what you do. Right. And that's obviously where Facebook ads and certain things come in, because they want you to pay for it. But let's say out of all that, right? So 1,000 people that you have following on Facebook, 5% of your audience actually sees your stuff. That's 50 people. Let's say the other goal, right, is that 10% of people that actually see it are going to click it. Okay. So let's say they click 5% of those people. That's real, like that's more of a reality, right? So 10% is the goal, but maybe 5% of people are going to do that. That's 5 people. And then maybe, fingers crossed, out of that 5 people, we've got like a 2% to a 4% conversion rate. So that's not even enough to make one sale. Let's be honest. Okay. So if you aren't actively growing, right, the followers that you have, if you're not actually, actively growing your connections, let's say on LinkedIn, I want you guys to just be realistic about what it is that you're doing, right, on the platform, right? Because the one thing that I can tell you, right, I just did that nice breakdown for you. The one thing that I can tell you is the only thing that's going to help these, obviously conversion, you can attack and you can get a little bit more aggressive with it, but let's increase your connections. Let's increase your followers. And obviously we want to take these people off of social media ultimately, and we want to grow that email list, because email list conversion rates, guys, I'm not going to go through them, but they're much better. Okay. So we want to obviously do that with our social media. And Scott, you want to bring us home?
Yeah. So, I mean, it brought up something for me, expectations over observations. So, and it's
Yes.
something that Nancy talks about all the time, because you have to pay attention to what's going on. And that's why a big goal that Nancy and I had early this year was 2 things. One, we hired a full-time content writer to help us with other things we're doing behind the scenes for our workshops, this, that, or the other. But we also hired a marketing manager. We wanted someone to basically go over our KPIs, and being able to meet with them every month and kind of see our conversion rates, open rate for email, registrations for workshops. Now we could better predict and have more realistic expectations of what we're going to get, depending upon the amount of connections that we have, the amount of email subscribers that we have, and such. So you have to understand, focusing on the observation of what's going on versus the expectation of what you want is going to help you better position everything that you're doing. But it really starts with that core focus of that one main platform. You have to think about where is your ideal client spending their most time and how you can market with them. This is what Seth Godin talked about. He says, don't market to people, market with people. And it's something that I kind of adopted when I do some of my LinkedIn workshops. I talk about the passenger side perspective. That person that's sitting next to you in the car riding shotgun, that's your ideal client. So how can you market with them? Be on that journey with them together. So as we close out, Nancy and I talked about this with you guys last week. I am doing a free LinkedIn workshop at the end of this month. It is October 30th to November 1st. It is creating content on LinkedIn that creates sales. It is a 3-day workshop where I'm teaching you the 3 key types of content to create that can lead to sales in your business: LinkedIn video, LinkedIn polls, and long form content, whether it's a post, whether it's a newsletter, an edition, or an article. So if you're interested in registering, completely free. It's from 1 to 2 p.m. EDT, live and recorded, Monday through Wednesday of that week, October 30th to November 1st. So if interested, check out the description of this episode. So we hope you found significant value in this. Love and gratitude, and we'll talk to you next time.
Bye-bye.